Has that not been this whole episode? Was them politicizing and promoting transgenderism and gender ideology, all things condemned by Christianity, and trying to turn it around on Christians and say they're being bigoted for calling out what actually happened? All right, guys. Welcome back to Red Top Report. I'm your host, Joe Enders, and we got more reactions, guys, but this time we're going to be reacting to something we kind of started getting into in the last episode with the Nashville shooting. We had Joe Biden flubbing his response to that.
And I ate Jenny's ice cream, chocolate chip.
But today we're going to talk about the aftermath, the stuff that happened after the results of the shooting, where a radical transgender went to a Christian school and killed 3 children and 3 adults. So, Ronan, you got some stuff for us to look at? I don't know, guys. I don't know what's coming.
Well, according to some people, there might have been another victim.
Really?
Every death is a tragedy, y'all. It's 7 lives.
Oh, come on.
I'd say there were 7 victims.
I think there's some holding up 6. There's some holding up 6.
There was a little, also that's what it was. Someone said 6 victims, right? Because they're protesting at the Capitol in Tennessee, I believe. And somebody, that's how that kind of started, was, show 6 fingers for 6 victims. And somebody said, no, there were 7.
Yeah.
And then that started.
So I'm guessing this is being reported as a peaceful protest and not an insurrection.
Well, I have a little bit more footage of it if you'd like to see.
Okay, good. Yeah, we'll see that first. But yeah, well, let me comment on this before we go to that next thing. It's just that 7 victims, really? Do you know what the word victim means? It means you're victimized. It means that you're the recipient of someone else's malicious intent. Who had malicious intent? The shooter obviously had malicious intent. That's not a victim. That is a perpetrator. That is a perpetrator of a crime. Anyways, yeah, we could go on. That's just disgusting. And this is exactly what the LGBT loves to do.
No action, no peace! No action, no peace! No action, no peace!
Yeah, that looks like an insurrection to me. I don't know about you. That's not a peaceful protest, is it? The cops are like dragging people away and stuff. And by the way, it looks like their teachers sent these kids there for extra credit. Like you zoom in on the picture of like the kids that were sitting there. It very clearly looks like that they don't even know what they're there for. They just said, yeah, go there and yell gun control or something like that. There's no passion in these eyes. These people do not care really about this issue. They all look like they were there for extra credit. Is it just me?
No, they did kind of look like, just kind of like zombies almost.
Oh, what are your pronouns? Do you prefer them, zer, they, them, he, his, trans rights are human rights.
I would title that mostly peaceful.
Mostly peaceful protest. Yeah, I remember that from back in 2020 in Minneapolis.
Yep.
Yeah, mostly peaceful protest. There's like a building on fire in the background.
Have been burning in Kenosha, Wisconsin over the course of the night.
Oh, that is so ridiculous. See, and this is what they'll do. They're going to blame the gun instead of the mentally ill transgender person that went in there and shot a bunch of Christians. Because you can't hate a Christian. You can only, you can hate transgenders, you can't hate Christians. Doesn't matter if you shoot their children. Doesn't matter if you murder them in cold blood. It can never actually be an act of hate if it's against a Christian, because that's impossible, because we're all supremacists, colonial, conquerors that are evil and mean and disgusting. So,
well, speaking of religious, supreme, evil, disgusting conquerors, here's our next.
Oh, here we go. Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. Oh, I remember this one. Yeah, they called him an austere religious scholar. For those who don't know, he was the leader of ISIS, like one of the most awful terrorist groups who've ever like lived. Oh, here we go. So this is from the Mirror. That was from the Washington Post. This one's from the Mirror, Daily Mirror. I forget what that's a UK.
I believe it's
source,
UK. Yeah.
UK. Oh yeah, it says so right there in the link. Anyways, the Nashville school shooter Audrey Hale should have been a children's illustrator, as their artwork was whimsical and childlike, a former teacher has revealed. Dude, well, that's not the only disaffected artist that murdered millions of innocent people. We can put him on screen too.
Yeah, I see where you're going with that.
I don't know what else to say. I don't like. It's kind of a nervous laughter because like it's really heinous what this person did. I'm not like I don't find it really that funny, but this is like it's like sickening how they're depicting this. Like this person walked into a school with a gun and started shooting people, Christian people. A person who adheres to an ideology that has shown nothing but disdain and hatred for the love of for people that love this religion, that show disdain for it. This person grabbed a gun, walked into a school, and shot children and then also adults. And that school was picked by the shooter. There was another school that the shooter chose not to go to because it didn't have enough security. So this was picked, it was targeted, and it was executed. Just like the cops executed her, thank goodness.
Yeah, turn them pronouns into was were.
Yeah, pronouns was were. Bye-bye, anti-Christian bigot.
Speaking of pronouns.
Oh, no.
Our next graphic here.
Let's check it out.
Aiden Hale, that's the name of the Nashville shooter. This video is about to be very uncomfortable for a lot of us. It's very uncomfortable for me to talk about, but we need to talk about it. Aiden did a very horrendous thing. Period, point blank. We need pew-pew reform in our country. But the way that the media and the police are misgendering and dead-naming Aiden is quite concerning. It's also concerning that I had to go to the Telegraph from UK to actually get Aiden's chosen name. It's upsetting that constantly it is she, her pronouns. That is incredibly frustrating because even though they did this horrible thing does not mean that we get to do those things. That's a boundary and we can hold people accountable without being transphobic, even for some of the most horrendous things. So while you're watching this, also watch for transphobia because that's very clearly coming out.
Oh. You're looking for sensitivity? Really? She's looking for sensitivity towards this person right now? No, absolutely not. With all due disrespect, Audrey Hale, that's your name. That's your real name. With all due disrespect, do I say that? What on earth is this where we have to be sensitive to the beliefs of a person, which by the way, we don't even believe in or agree with? Where do we have to be sensitive to that? Yeah, I don't think so. Absolutely not. This is a Christian hating woman that went in and killed children and killed people. No, absolutely not. Hell no. It blows my mind the audacity of some of these LGBT activists. Some of these new age freaks that wear their stupid door knockers on their face that think they can go and tell me we shouldn't be doing this. Well, we shouldn't be doing this. We shouldn't be being transphobic. No, you know what? You deserve it. You deserve it. That evil human being deserves it. And no one should have any shame in that either. I hope every single headline, every single newspaper in the entire world calls her by the name she was given and assigned at birth. More importantly, because it's true and correct to call her by that name. But second of all, to disrespect the legacy that she was trying to create for herself, which was being some transgender person. The person she was trying to be. Yeah, your legacy is tarnished. You'll be remembered as a woman. You'll be buried as a woman. And that's it. This must be the first time a fundraiser was held for supporting a mass shooter rather than the victim. Wait, what? Nashville show benefiting trans rights. Bob and I will see you from the stage in Nashville where we will celebrate the beauty that is the queer community. Why are they doing this? Of course I know why. They're evil. But I mean, there's obviously like this is just bad PR for them at this point, you know? Like Ronan, what is the public relations fallout from this? You know, it's going to be massive.
Yeah, I mean, they're like this it wasn't the, you know, Christians that were killed or the victims, it's the shooter that was the victims, you know. And then now they're like, oh yeah, we're totally in support of this, you know, school shooter. I mean,
is this this isn't for the school shooter though, is it? It's just for.
No, they're just in you know, the queer community, but
yeah,
they're in their show in Nashville, so I mean, you know, you see the correlation.
Yeah, here's what they're going to do. They're going to take all the funds from this to try to mitigate the backlash that's inevitably going to come about because this shooter, you know, went out and did this. That's what's going to happen. And they know what they're doing. They're trying to fundraise to stop the wave of what they call hate, what most other people would just call criticism, and demanding that these transgender folks that are mentally ill get mental treatment for their mental illness. You know, all those people, it's that they need to they need to be made aware that this is they know that this is on the horizon. So that's why all this is happening. I'd be willing to bet that that's the reason. That is just my opinion. So but still, it's just so widespread, Ronan. It's happening everywhere. It's happening everywhere. I think Biden even said something too about it.
He did, yeah. Him and the White House put out a little statement
about trans visibility or something like that. Trans visibility. How about we make the dangers of transgenderism visible? You know how many transgender shooters there have been, despite them being like well under 1% of the population? Well under 1% of the population, like 4 mass shooters have been transgender.
I think it's like 1 in 4, 1 in 5 of Gen Z, my generation, is like LGBT.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you know, you can see like on a graph as the shootings happen. As time goes on, more of them become, more of them are trans or gay or whatever.
More of them, I mean, but it's not more than 1%. That's my point. You know, like you look at a statistic, like the vast majority of mass shooters are white males. Yes, correct. But there's a proportion because most, you know, the most common male in America is a white male, right? So when you think about things in per capita numbers, it's much different, right? It's much different. So proportion to their population, 4 mass shooters in the past 10 years, I believe, might be a little bit more than that, but let's say 13 years. In the last 13 years have been transgender. That's a lot. That's not just 1%. It's not well under 1%. I don't know the math, but I think it's easy enough to deduce that is not less than 1%. And I'm not talking about mass shootings as in, you know, drive-by shootings where, you know, 2 people are killed or something like that. We're not talking about those sorts of things. We're talking about mass shootings where somebody goes into a school. Let's talk about school shootings. Let's talk about anything along those lines. You know, those things, those headline-making stories. Because they'll say there's like 40 mass shootings in the United States and try to relate it to school shootings and stuff like that. Not quite. A lot of that is gang violence. A lot because a mass shooting is constituted. I think it's more.
It's 2 or more, isn't it?
It's either 2 or I think it's 3 or more. I think it's 3 or more. It's either 2 or more or 3 or more. So we can probably put that up. Whatever it does constitute, and then that's what constitutes a mass shooting. So that could be, you know, a gang shooting where people were shot up. It could be a lot of other things that are going on that don't involve school shootings or school safety or anything like that at all. Yeah, there's a disproportion there, and it would make sense because just like their suicide rate, which is, you know, in the 40 and 50% range. I believe during the pandemic, it rose to like the transgender suicide rate. I believe rose to 56%. I believe it rose to 56%. What I find so fascinating about that is that for the longest time, transgender activists have been saying that bullying is the reason that transgender people commit suicide. You know, it's because they're so bullied, and that's why they're mentally ill, and that's why they commit suicide. So if we eradicate transphobia, that suicide rate will go to normal levels because they're actually just normal people that aren't mentally ill at all. That's the transgender argument. Explain to me how when they were at their house, away from all the bullies, that their suicide attempt rate, it's not a suicide rate, I'm sorry, their suicide attempt rate rose. Who's bullying them? I suppose their parents could be, but that's not happening.
The demons that are telling them they have, they're they, them.
Bro. Yeah, I mean, no doubt, right? Anyways, what do we got next?
Children are only unsafe at drag shows when a shooter shows up to kill them.
That's right.
That's where the threat is. I would challenge anyone just to get to know trans people. We are a vibrant, diverse community, as diverse as anyone else. You know, I'm from the great state of Texas. I served in the military. I go to church every Sunday. My faith is very important to me.
What church is that for?
God made me in her image. God made me transgender.
Image.
And
really,
to see these people so cynically weaponize this and exploit these children's debts and their teachers' debts, it breaks my heart. I wonder what those families are thinking right now.
What do you feel when you have somebody like Michael Knowles say at CPAC, we need to eradicate transgenderism, and when somebody like Tucker Carlson says that transgender people are at war with Christians?
I can't see Christ in their words. That's for damn sure. I can't see where the biblical principles of loving your neighbor and walking the walk with Christ that they can see. I can't see what they're seeing right now because that's not of Christ. It's not.
Unbelievable. Another thing, the audacity of these people. She's accusing conservatives and Christians of politicizing the issue while she goes up there and calls God a her and calls himself a Christian. That's a guy, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine.
Imagine that's a guy. I've seen that person before, and I'm almost positive that that's a dude. I cannot remember the name for whatever reason. Was it in the video? Let's go check.
Pull it up.
Yeah, we can pull it up and see again. I just want to make sure. Charlotte Clymer.
I would challenge anyone just
human
to get
rights.
To know trans people.
Press secretary, human rights campaign. I've seen this person before. Anyways, so the audacity. You go on there and say, these conservatives and Christians are politicizing this issue, while you literally go up there, call God a her, say you're a Christian, and then say that imagine what the families think. I know what the families are thinking, that a radicalized transgender person went into the school with a gun and shot at their kids and killed them. That's what they're thinking. And they should be thinking that. I hate that. They always do that with politicizing the issue. Wasn't there just a transgender march for gun control in a school? Were they not politicizing an issue to put music to push for gun control? Has that not been this whole episode? Was them politicizing something and promoting transgenderism and gender ideology, all things condemned by Christianity, and trying to turn it around on Christians and say they're being bigoted for calling out what actually happened? Excuse me, you are the ones politicizing the issue, not us. Has there been a mass shooting at a drag show?
I don't know. I think only sex offenders show up to those.
Yeah, well, we can roll a clip on that one. No. Shut your mouth, dude. Stop wearing dresses. Stop being an embarrassment. Stop. That stuff drives me nuts. An act of hatred's committed against Christians, and what does the LGBT do? What they always do. Make it all about them.
I'm a victim.
I need to tell you guys how this is going to hurt the people that I claim to represent. It's a cult, it's a religion, and they have declared holy war on Christianity. And you better believe they're not going to win that war, because we're not going anywhere. You guys aren't going anywhere. And we will continue to grow. We will continue to become stronger. We will evangelize. We will end this terror, and we will fight back. I don't go in and start, doing violence against people or anything like that. That's not what I'm advocating for here. But we will defend ourselves. Christian schools, armed security. We talked about this in the last episode. Christian schools, armed security. Make sure your people are safe. Go to your churches. Make sure that there is security at your church, so people can't come in and commit acts of terrorism. This is how we fight back. This is how we win. This is how we keep ourselves safe from the holy war that is upon us. Ronan, let's say a prayer for the families. We got to say a prayer for the families that lost people, and I'm going to do what I can on this show to keep promoting security in Christian churches and schools, because that's what's needed right now. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Ave Maria, gratia plena Dominus tecum, benedicta tu in mulieribus et benedictus fructus ventris tui, Iesus. Sancta Maria, Mater Dei, ora pro nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Amen. In nomine Patri et Filii et Spiritus Sancti. Amen. And on that note, guys, we're going to end it. Sorry I got a little riled up there, but please follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter, and please subscribe to us on YouTube. We're going to keep fighting the battle. We're going to keep advocating for what the church needs to hear. And that includes, that even, you know what? Not just the church, that includes Protestants too. We're looking out for Protestants here too. We're looking out for everybody of the Christian faith. Even the people outside of even the Christians outside of the Catholic Church. Because this was heinous and it should be denounced. And with that said, guys, that's all we have for this episode. We'll see you next time.